Hi, everyone. Good morning. I'm super happy to be here at Laracon, actually to give an opening keynote for the second time. So I was here last year, and I spoke about cross-cultural UX design. Just curious, who was at my talk last year? Wow, so many of you. That's great. So you're kind of used to us hearing a design talk in the Laravel conference. That's awesome. So I suppose most of you here, or even not all of you, are developers who, when you started out in your developer career, you probably have to learn some fundamental programming concept to be able to do what you do. Like, what is an integer? What is a variable? And that variable passes on the values and the initial functions and all the complex things that happen in a function. And throughout your career as a developer, these fundamental concepts do not change, and you continue to use them after 10, 20, 30 years. So I'm a designer, and I work with also fundamental concepts in design. So in the next 40 minutes, I will share about how design works, the fundamental concept behind design, which is design psychology, or some people call behavioral science, that is the foundation of the work that we do as a designer. Because as a designer, we have to design experiences and interface that align with users' motivations, expectations, and mental models. And at the end of the talk, you'll be able to learn some new information, to be able to identify that in the software, applications, and apps that we use, so many of them have these design psychology baked in, and that you'll be able to tell or have a better estimate in the A/B testing why one performs better than the other, and that you will be able to discuss and debate designs with your designers. So my name is Jenny Shen. I'm an independent UX consultant, and I work with clients in various industries, from fashion to e-commerce to healthcare. And from these experiences, that's actually how I actually started to apply a lot of this behavioral science in my work. So before we talk about persuasive design or design patterns, that's defined actually. Look at how and where the persuasive design is applied to be able to have a bit more understanding before we start. So actually, a lot of applications have this behavioral science baked in. From the red notifications that we see on Facebook, the red actually is a color to signal, to draw people's attention, and that the typefaces that you see here for Tiffany, for Guild Group, this serif font actually conveys the meaning of luxury and like high-end. So that's actually a lot of high-end brands are using the serif font instead of sans serif font. And the persuasive design essentially is designs that draw on a deep understanding of users' motivations, desires, and behavior quirks. It's actually used in a lot of applications in digital, not just in e-commerce, but also in political campaigns. You can actually apply them to encourage people to be a part of something or donate to something. You have reward programs, and you have social networks that actually encourage users to participate and engage with the platform. You can also apply persuasive design to a nonprofit organization to encourage people to contribute, donate, participate. And you can also use persuasive design in clubs and communities to encourage healthy behavior, such as fitness, such as healthy diet, or to help people quit smoking. So I will be talking about three types of design patterns, from conversion to trust and also engagement. So I'll just be dropping a lot of the names for these design patterns. I will be showing you some examples of how these are used in digital, and I'll be explaining about why they work. So the first kind of pattern is conversion design patterns, and you have the first one is called the loss aversion. We talked about the fear of losing motivate us to more than gaining something of equal value, which is pretty interesting. So you see this applied in Instagram stories and Snapchat, where the stories actually disappearing so that you actually have to consume them within the time period, like 24 hours or something. And fear of not seeing a story actually motivates us to continue to come back and check the disappearing stories. You also have in newsletters or sales pages, it talks about how you have to act now to complete a purchase, otherwise you lose everything in your cart, or that the special sale will end it. And that's actually drawing on the pattern called loss aversion. Or you may have on LinkedIn or on any subscription website when you want to end a subscription, but the website is telling you, if you end your subscription, these are all the things that you will lose. And again, it's reminding you of what you will lose, so that hopefully you will be staying with the subscription. And this value function of prospect theory actually shows that gaining 100 euros and losing 100 euros, actually my pointer is not working, but when you gain 100 euros and when you lose 100 euros, the feeling of losing that 100 euros is more than gaining 100 euros. So actually, that's why humans, we are more drawn to not losing something over than being motivated to gain something. So when you want to apply loss aversion, you can use limited time discounts. You can offer trial periods where the user start with a trial, but when the trial is over, they have to pay money to subscribe, or that you can offer lazy registration where the user doesn't have to sign up with an account, but then to continue using the service after a while, they have to sign up, otherwise they lose their account. And what's most important here to apply loss aversion is to highlight what is lost by leaving your product or service. The next pattern is scarcity, and you probably are very familiar because if you are shopping online at all, then you see a lot of the scarcity patterns applied. So he talks about we perceive objects that are scarce but more desirable. So here we have Airbnb, we have Kaya, we have Guild Group, we have Amazon. They keep talking about how there's limited supplies left, and you have to act now in order to receive this product or service. But this is not the only kind of scarcity. So for example, in Japan, they are really good at using the scarcity pattern. So you have location, like you have this location-specific kind of product that you can only get in certain prefectures or certain cities or a certain period. You have strawberry seasoned drinks, and that you have to actually get them. Otherwise, after the season is over, you don't get them anymore. It's drawing on scarcity to make people feel like, okay, I really want this thing because it's perceived as more valuable. You also have access scarcity, which means that by blocking off the access to only a small group of people, actually it feels that the premium or the VIP section is more exclusive, and that people actually want to sign up as a member, or that you want to be part of the early adopter because it's showing access scarcity. Why scarcity works is because this scarcity encourages purchase behavior, and that humans, we use the item's availability to determine item's value. So it's just wired in our brain. So when we see something of less quantity and a lot of quantity, we automatically think that whatever is of less quantity is more desirable. And that scarcity principle is for us to make quick decisions in our brain, and our brain is always trying to shortcut the decision-making process as much as possible. And note here that scarcity works the most when it's created by social demand. So the more people want something, the more other people will want the same as well. To apply scarcity, the three types of different scarcity. For time scarcity, you can offer holiday sales or expiry dates, limited time offers. For stock scarcity, you can highlight the remaining quantity that's available, just like what you saw on Amazon or you see on other e-commerce sites. And for access scarcity, you can use paywalls or offer member-only content. So imagine if you have a content website, why not segment a part of your content for just the paying or the VIP members. Next, we talk about the trust design patterns, which are patterns that help users have more trust with your brand or with your product and service. So the first pattern is authority. where it talks about humans have a strong tendency to comply with authority figures. And you have probably seen them in a lot of applications and websites, from different logos, from these famous spokesperson to awards. These are the patterns. These are the kind of the signals to tell the user, hey, we are endorsed by this public figure. We're endorsed by all these associations that grant us that we are really quality wine, or we are a really quality brand that will try to build trust with their users. And using authority in the designs actually creates really good results. So for example, this is a SaaS website. This is a like our ad marketing website. And originally, they put the testimonials about the service in the website, which you can see on the left. But it was not converting very well. What they did is that they changed the design, and now for the exact same testimonial by someone at Microsoft, all they did is that they changed the design from a gray background to a white background. They took out the Microsoft logo on the top, very visible, instead of hidden in the text. And this actually increased the conversion rate by 69%. So that's something that authority can do to your design, just by kind of highlighting from the text to showing visually a logo. So why authority works is because humans, we see information from a recognized authority as a valuable shortcut. So this is a pattern that you see over and over again in the talk, that is for us to understand that we are humans' decision-making process. We're always trying to look for shortcuts. So that's actually why the patterns work time and time again. So it's a shortcut for us to decide how to act, and people trust authorities, taste, and believe that it fits our own, and that we are vulnerable to the appearance of authority. So for example, if you sell cookware, you probably want a reputable chef to talk about your cookware. And if you are offering a fitness service or you run a gym, then you probably want some famous spokesperson or some athlete or some bodybuilder to talk highly about your offering. To apply authority, you can use certifications, awards, logos and names of known companies, and try to associate your product service with authority figures in your industry. The next trust pattern is social proof, and this one I'm sure many of you are familiar with as well. It talks about humans have a tendency to adopt the opinions and follow the behaviors of the majority in order to feel safe and avoid conflict. It's not just something in our brain, but it's actually also an emotional aspect of it, is that we want to feel safe. We don't want to feel like we made a wrong decision, or we don't want to feel like we're the outlier. So therefore, that's why social proof is actually applied everywhere, and it's a pattern that will work on us again and again. So on these services and website, you see social proof showing testimonials, showing ratings, show how many people are users, so people who bought this item, they also bought XYZ. So this is actually showing that social proof apply in different ways and how it can be effective. For example, this Express watches, they sell watches on the website, and then they have a lot of information on their product detail page. They have ratings, they have all the different check marks, but they haven't yet incorporated testimonials. So when they did A/B testing with testimonials, everything else about the same, they actually found that conversion rate increased by 58%. That's actually a lot just by adding what people say about these watches. And for social proof, it works because we believe in acting according to social evidence is a shortcut to correct behavior and good decision. Again, we don't want to spend a lot of time to read through every single comparison, every single option. We just see what the majority of other people like and purchase, and we go ahead to make that decision. And it's a human nature to rather imitate than initiate. And finally, we resort to shortcutting the thought process because thinking and decision-making actually requires brain energy. If you want to apply social proof in your product and services, you can use numbers, statistics, such as 14 reviews, 90 people liked it, or that you have this many subscribers or clients, in order to assure users that they are not alone in the decision. And again, use testimonials and ratings for social proof. So now that we talked about conversion design patterns, for people who are not working on selling or working on landing pages, there are also persuasive design that's used to increase engagement. So there's an important concept when it comes to engaging the users, and that's called the hook model. Has anyone here heard about or read the book Hook before by Ernest Ale? OK. I think, see no hands. Cool. So this will be new information for you. So hook model is by Ernest Ale and Ryan Hoover. Who has heard of Ryan Hoover? Product Hunt founder. OK, a couple of you. Cool. So they wrote this book called Hook, and they actually explained the hook model, which is an experience designed to connect the user's problem to your solution. That can feel very abstract. So let me give you an example. So when I lived in Singapore, I worked on this loyalty program software to help other people implement their loyalty program. So loyalty program is designed to help a publisher, help a game, for the user to keep on coming back, because the more they come back, the more they play a game or post a review, they will get rewarded for their loyal behavior. So that's what loyalty programs are about. So we apply the hook model to the loyalty program. And the hook model here, you have trigger, you have action, you have investment, and you have variable reward. It's basically like a cycle of things to try to get a user to perform continuous action. Let's start and dissect what this actually means. So for the trigger, you can have an external or internal trigger. And in our loyalty program, we actually give a user a notification. Basically, if a user is installed a game, we give them a notification to say, hey, we just launched this new feature, or there's this new level that you can play, in order for the user to kind of get back into or get started with the game or the product and service. Then after you fight off the trigger, then hopefully the user takes the trigger and go on to perform the action. So in a loyalty program product, the action the user will take will be to post the content. So for example, post in social media or post in the forum. And any action that is rewardable, so give the user a chance to collect points or be rewarded for the actions. So after they take the action, then we give the user a variable reward. A variable reward is not just the constant same thing that if you post one time, you get X. It's important to think about how to make it variable, which I will explain later on. So we show the user, after the user posts in the forum or whatever action that gives them the point, we then show them a reward catalog, which is basically a catalog of rewards that will change all the time, and users constantly come back to check, hey, I posted 5 times today, or I post 10 times this month. What kind of reward can I get? And it refreshes all the time. So after they are able to receive a variable reward, then they begin to have more investment into the product and service that you're designing. So after the user browse the reward catalog and learn, hey, I can redeem this watch because I am a loyal user after 5 years, and they begin to invest more into this product and service. And to show that in visuals, so we have the notification that tells the user, hey, we have this feature reward now. Do you want to come back, and you can have this chance to redeem it? And then we show the user that you have earned this point by doing this action. We show the user the catalog, and then the user starts to build their profile, because then they can see their levels, they can see more badges, they see that they collected 5 rewards, they begin to invest. And as mentioned, I worked on this loyalty SaaS, latest product that allow multiple brands to implement their own reward program. So you can see here the Filipino telco, we have Malaysian, a food review site, we have Indonesian game company, they have implemented our loyalty program. And the result is that by using the hook model concept, we actually increase the engagement rates by up to 8 times, including posts, the time spent on site, and social media sharing. So nevertheless, the hook model is really effective at creating the engagement. So earlier I talked about the variable reward in the hook model. So let's go into that a little bit deeper. The variable reward actually creates a sense of scarcity and unpredictability, which entices the user's curiosity. You might be familiar with the variable rewards in some of the games that you're playing, or even in Mario. In Mario, actually, you can hit a mystery box and you actually don't know what is in it. I mean, you can get something very shitty, you can get something very good, but it's the fact that you don't know what you're actually getting that really makes a user curious and try to hit as many boxes as possible. And when you want to create increased engagement, this is a concept you have to use as well because it's highly effective. And variable rewards work because compared to fixed rewards, variable rewards produce the highest productivity in users because we have a nature, if everything that we are doing is so predictable, eventually we get bored. Eventually we get disinterested in it. So therefore, when we get content, when we get something that's not constant, we actually are even more motivated to check out, hey, what can be different this time? And studies show that variable reward schedule on contingencies motivate us more than fixed schedules on contingencies. In order to apply variable rewards, which might not be so easy when you're designing a product and service, you can actually do it in different ways. For example, Vimeo is almost like a YouTube, and you upload the videos, and when you're a user, their metric that they are tracking is how many videos you upload. So you have a quota per month to upload videos to Vimeo. However, the variable reward pattern that I used here is that randomly, when you almost hit your upload quota, they will give you like a 1 gig bonus. They will give you like a 5 gig bonus. So then the next time you hit your quota, or before you hit your quota, you're going to want to try to see, am I getting the random bonus again? So that's actually how you can use variable reward in your product and service. And other than that, you can give a gift for your community. You can offer secret badges or spin to win on your marketing websites. The next pattern for engagement is called the endowment effect. And this talks about we place greater value on objects if emotional value has been invested. And that's applied in social media, such as Facebook, and it can even apply to e-commerce, such as Amazon and Airbnb. So on the left here, you have an Amazon profile, which shows you how many products you purchased and shows your testimonials and shows that you made this wish list, and actually just makes transparent of everything that the user actually has done to allow the user to keep on investing in their profile. So the Amazon profile makes it hard to give out your rotation in your profile, and they have found that offering a profile actually makes it quite effective for the user to choose Amazon over another e-commerce product and service. In the same way, Airbnb offers wish lists or bookmarks for the user to keep on building the bookmark. So then the next time when you want to go somewhere, you think, wait, I already have an Airbnb wish list in Bali. Why don't I just start looking there instead of building a new list from scratch? So endowment effect works based on the wish list, and then the award badges to allow the user to gain the ownership. And it makes the user place higher value on buying Amazon versus competitors. And endowment effect is effective at retaining the user because the user can keep on coming back to build their profile. In order to apply it, allow the user to build the profiles with lists, ratings, and recommendations, or whichever actions that are applicable to your product and service. And also, just like lost aversion, you can also highlight that if they want to leave leave the product service, the invested efforts will be lost. And finally, you have the completion pattern, which talks about provide a well-defined end goal and progress to make the user feel a feeling of closure. And this is applied usually in the beginning stage of user onboarding. So you use LinkedIn and Google+, these kind of social networks use completion to kind of guide a user step by step throughout the onboarding process. Like, hey, you are 20% there, you only have 5 steps to go. And if you have ever coded an onboarding flow, you probably have seen this sort of design where the user breaks down the onboarding step by step is to give the user a feeling of closure and be able to feel motivated when they are completing the process. And this works because as humans, we have a natural tendency to avoid doubt and avoid uncertainty. And how does completion help us avoid doubt, you might ask? The reason is because when we look at, when we enter into a new product and service and we don't know what is ahead of us and how many steps and how long this onboarding flow actually takes, and we tend to not be so motivated into completing it. But let's say we were to tell you, OK, 20%, 40%, there's only 5 things you have to do, then this amount of information actually gives the user more certainty. OK, I can actually do this in 5 minutes. I can actually do this in 10 minutes. And the need for closure actually drives us towards a well-defined end goal. Now, to apply completion, you provide a user with a tangible end goal that they can strive towards achieving. And this is actually applied in game design as well, because no one wants to play a game when they don't know what winning looks like. They don't want to play a game that's just continuously ongoing, and they don't know that they have defeated the big devil or something like that. You always strive towards, work towards a tangible end goal. So to apply completion, you also can set expectations and communicate the progress, such as the time left or the number of steps left or the percentage of progress. And this is also used in surveys and any kind of thing to gather the user input. There's also a pattern called gamification that I have applied when I design loyalty programs. And gamification talks about using elements of game playing to encourage engagement with the product and service. And in gamification, you use points, badges, leaderboards, and level to make the user feel like they are part of a game. They are more motivated to be engaged with this product and service. And that's actually used in a lot of sites such as Foursquare, such as Google, such as Duolingo, where it may be something where user might not want so much, or something that they really want to do, but yet just need a tiny bit more motivation to learn a new language, or maybe to go to the gym to work out, or maybe document their healthy eating. So gamification is used a lot in these kinds of product and service where it's trying to encourage a user to have this kind of a behavior or habit. And the the new Google Places or Google Maps is actually trying to keep telling me that, hey, you have left 3 reviews, you have left 3 ratings, you want to keep on continuing more. And this gamification is also very effective in increasing the engagement rate. Now, I have talked a lot about persuasive design and how to increase engagement and how to increase conversion. And many people, especially designers, when they think about, OK, we need to do this in order to get more sign-up, in order to get more sale, people feel quite negative towards it. People feel like, OK, this doesn't feel right that we are kind of playing on a human emotion to do something that the business wants. And when people think about persuasive design, they are usually thinking about dark patterns. And persuasive design has a bad name because of the things that other companies do that's actually a little bit over the line. And I think talking about ethics is especially important when we talk about persuasive design, because it can actually help us think about how to do it right so we don't see the internet turning into something like this for every single site. So who has seen something like this before on any sort of e-commerce site? Okay, a majority of you, 70%. Now it talks about like, yeah, you get something for free, you'll save 29%, and then it has like 2 different type of discounts, and I am just completely lost. And this is actually not my goal for showing you this talk today, because who thinks this is acceptable? Who thinks this is helping their user experience? Right, like pretty much no one. And that's not what I want to encourage you today with applying all these persuasive design. And there's actually even worse examples where you have companies that add a blue little circle to pretend that it's a new message. The user keep on tapping on it. You have this bike sharing application that when the user wants to cancel, there's no cancel button. And you have shopping bag that automatically sneaked in something into the user's basket. And you have this travel insurance here for a European airline. And they automatically add the travel insurance into your booking, and there's no button to cancel or opt out. The only thing you can do, or actually what you're supposed to do, is you go into the drop-down for the residence of the passenger. So here you have a drop-down like where country you're from. Are you from the Netherlands? Are you from America? And whatnot. And then you go to see the item under Denmark, which called Don't Insure Me, in a country list in order to opt out of travel insurance. Like these sort of things, people think it's persuasive design, but actually these are not persuasive design. These are manipulated design, and these are just trickery. So there's a fine line. Well, actually not a fine line, but it's kind of pretty obvious to us, like what is trickery and what is persuasive design. So what I want to talk about is now we learn all these persuasive design. We learn how to get a user to perform an action or come back to the app. Now, what is an ethical use of design psychology? Because as mentioned, like we don't want to just tack on all these different conversion tactics onto our designs. So there is a really good chart to kind of talk about the difference of honest UI and dark patterns, and that towards the honest UI end, you are designing for the user's needs. So it talks about users' needs are prioritized, and that even at the expense of companies' low sales and conversion rate gains. So imagine if somebody is completely honest and that there's no sales, company goes bankrupt, and I mean that doesn't actually benefit anyone. But now if you go on to the other end, to the dark patterns, where you are designing everything for the company's interests, and that business are arguably deceptive to users carefully without violating the law. I mean, in some cases, they even violate the law. So you don't want to be on the end of the both spectrum. You don't want to be not using any patterns so that your company doesn't make any sales and then it goes out of business, but you don't want to be on the other end where you are deceptive to the users, such as you are almost breaking the law or, almost breaking the law or breaking the law. So what you want to do is to have somewhere in between where you are balancing the user's needs and the company's need. And there's one design concept I want to share with all of you, and this is based on Jacob Nielsen's 10 usability heuristic for interface design. This is something, a list you can find online if you're interested in more usability design. And Jacob Nielsen is definitely one of the key pioneers in user experience. And one of the key principles is called user control and freedom. When we look at all the examples that we show that are a bit deceptive, they actually do not give a user the control and freedom. Users want to opt out, but they are not allowing the user to opt out. So basically, they are violating the usability principle. And what we want to do when we apply persuasive design is that we want to give the user control and freedom. Sure, they might want to opt out, cancel, or whatnot, but this is the user's freedom, and this is our freedom to do so as well. And something important to think about is that I show you this chart with the two ends between honest design and dark design. Now, everyone's scale of ethical and unethical is different. So you cannot exactly pinpoint, OK, you have to be at the spot or you have to be right in the center. Because even if you think that what you do is right at the center, some other people might perceive it as more unethical or more ethical. And that persuasion is subjective. And you will find that, as I mentioned in the talk I gave last year, some users are more receptive to certain patterns, and some users are more kind of indifferent towards certain patterns. And what we don't like is when companies manipulate us to do something that we regret or do something that against our will. So a cheat sheet here for how to use the persuasive design patterns but not fall on the end of the dark pattern spectrum is to think about what you do is design for the user's need. What we want to do is we make decision-making process simple for the user. If users are trying to buy, choose from 20 things, choose from 20 books, or choose from 20 different backpacks, maybe show them which are the top selling. Maybe tell them which one has 1,000 people have bought this. So this actually helps the user decide what is the best backpack to buy. Also, get the users' consent if you want to send them newsletters, if you want to, if basically for whatever actions that users should have the freedom to choose. Also, make your options transparent. Don't hide them in a drop-down of countries to opt out, and give the users control. What you don't want to do is give false information. What you don't want to do is say, pretend there's only one left when you have a whole warehouse in stock for the item and it's always showing only one left. You know, like people are not dumb. I mean, most people are not dumb, and then they can kind of figure out that if you're being receptive, being deceptive when you mention the X amount left. And what you don't want to do is not give the users option to opt out or cancel. Sure, it is not what you want in the business, but again, the user should have the control and freedom to do what they want to do. And finally, don't make decisions for the user based on the business need. Don't automatically subscribe them to the things that did not sign up for, because we all hate spam, right? We don't want to be getting the stuff that we didn't sign up for. So don't make it a default. Don't automatically make that decision. And make the options transparent and give the users control. And the last thing I want to leave you with is that when you have doubt whether or not to apply persuasive design or how much to apply, just think about what Jeff Goldblum says. Just because you can doesn't mean you should. Thank you.